Well, today we're going to call Welcome Home Wednesday Walkabout. It is one of my favorite days in the gardening year, and it's when all of my plants that have been overwintering in the greenhouse come home. And thanks to Victor and his crew, we've gotten most of them unloaded and we're starting to position them. We're going to do a new segment that we're going to call What's Where? Things that I may have seen while I'm out and about that you guys might be interested in. I'm going to show you a book of somebody that I'm absolutely infatuated with. Her name is Melissa Penfold. Well, we've got a number of things to cover today, so what do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. That one, as I recall, that one went over there, okay. And this one goes in here, I think. And yeah, and then I probably still later will want to repot them, you know, like we talked about, but for right now, let's just get them in position. Okay. Hi, how are you? Wow, that one really grew. So these are the first things to come off the truck. They are the giant Eugenia, and I am thrilled with the way they look coming out of the greenhouse. Sometimes if the power goes out in the greenhouse, they come back not looking so great. But not only do they look great, they've put on a lot of growth. Now later in the season, Victor, wave to everybody, wave to your audience. Later in the season, we're gonna repot these into some larger pots, but right now I just kind of want to get them in place. And most of the Eugenia goes in the front. So this one, I believe, and I can't believe how much this one has grown. Do you remember what it looked like last year, Victor? Yeah, it was a lot smaller. And I think it goes, well, for right now, let's just kind of try to position it over in here, because it may be that it's too big for that spot now. So we'll just set it right here. Yeah, we can just, right here is good. Yeah. Yeah. If it wants to stand up. Okay. And then, I don't even remember how many of those I had. I had 4 of them. Okay. You know what? I'm thinking right now, just looking at this, maybe, can we try switching that one out with this one? Because that one looks like it might be a little bit bigger. Yes. And we'll see. Okay. So right now, it's just kind of experimentation, and thankfully these guys are here with their strong backs and strong arms, because even though they're in pots that are faux concrete, there's no way, since I kind of did a boo-boo on my back earlier, that I could do this myself, especially because they look like they've just been watered, so they're probably heavier than normal. This is a little bit of trial and error where they go. I'll probably, like furniture, just keep moving them around until I'm absolutely satisfied with where they go. But boy, this is probably one of my favorite days of the garden year, is when all of my babies come back from the greenhouse. So let's take a break here and we'll see what comes up next. And here's a little tease about this weekend. Well, let's just say that you are invited to a celebration in my backyard, because we've got some big news. I cannot wait to share it with you. And well, let me just say, tune in to find out what that news is. Well, today's video is sponsored by Classy, a clothing line with a bra built right in that really has just transformed my life. I love it. It's rapidly becoming one of my go-to pieces of clothing I put on first thing in the morning. And let me give you 2 different reasons why. Number one, it layers beautifully. So it started out being a gorgeous day this morning, and I didn't need any kind of additional layers except for this really thin sweater. Hubs and I went to breakfast and it was perfect. But before breakfast, I worked out, and this was perfect for that too. I had time to work out. I didn't have to get completely redressed. All I had to do was cool off, throw on a scarf, and this top looks, I think, both athletic and it layers beautifully. And I love that about all of the classy pieces. I have several. But then the day got going, it got chilly, and then all I have to do is just layer up again in complete comfort. There is no part of this top that is bugging me. It doesn't itch, it doesn't scratch, it doesn't have any kind of annoying tags. It's got the bra built right in, so as soon as I get home, I'm not compelled to immediately take off my top, take off my bra. It form fits beautifully, it washes beautifully, and as you can see here, it really layers nicely. So if you want the kind of clothing that is comfortable, that fits your lifestyle and layers beautifully as your day unfolds, well, I would highly recommend that you click on the link below in the description box, or you can just use that QR code for 20% off your first classy purchase. I promise you, you buy one piece and you're going to want more. Oh, I forgot about those too. Wow. Yeah, let's put those in the front. This goes in the back. That goes in the back. That goes in the back. Let's leave this one in the front. Okay. I think this one's going to go in the front. This guy's struggling. But this other stuff really looks like it came out very, very happy. So now it's just a matter of placing everything and then wrangling it into some shape and seeing if I have just enough or maybe if I have too much. So some of this stuff has grown, and it may be that it needs to find a new location versus last year. Well, as I always say, before order, there is chaos, and there's definitely lots of chaos going on here. But I am crossing off my to-do list, going through all of my storage boxes and starting to make sense of them. But before I did that, I did a thing one, thing two. And I had a pot here that had all sorts of little starts of sedum autumn joy and some other unidentified sedums in here. So I just love the little tufts of gray that are very prevalent this time of year when catmint comes out, when these sedums come out, and they're just these sweet little round tufts. So I'm actually going to pot some of this up and put it in some little containers, and I think it'll be so sweet and it will take off before you even know it. And this is something that you guys can do too. If you come across any kind of lonely tufts of some kind of sedum in your own garden, or maybe you have friends or loved ones who will pinch some sedum starts off of theirs to share with you, because in short order you can fill a little pot and it's absolutely dear. This is actually thing two, so look at how much my grass has grown. And then I'm obsessed by the little gray tufts of foliage that I'm seeing in a lot of different places. So this is thing two. You saw thing one in a pot in the backyard, but look at how sweet these are going to be. I think I need a third pot of this. And what really kind of inspired things were these very, very sweet tufts. This is one of my favorite things of spring. This sweet tuft of Persian blue catmint. Isn't that so cute? It's so cute. So I'm going to get the same effect in some pots, but using some Pure Joy sedum instead of this catmint. Oh my goodness, these are the olive trees that came out of the greenhouse. And look, if all of these buds are any indication, I should have lots of olives. Hopefully, anyway. I think it's very, very fun. They definitely need some pruning, and I need to decide where they go. Now, it's interesting. This one actually grew a little bit more, but this one put on more buds. So I don't know. Who can explain the phenomena of nature? But it's going to be fun to try. Yeah, it can stay there for a while. There are two different ones, so it'll be this middle one that'll give that room to grow, I think. Okay, so one thing that I have noticed very happily is that these fire chief arborvitae have gotten larger even than I expected, and I'm thrilled with that. But you can see that I planted 2 of them just a little over a year ago, and they've already grown a little bit too large for this space. So I'm going to remove this middle one, and that will allow this one on the south end to really grow and fill out and have a little bit better shape. And I'll be using this one in the backyard.
So that arborvitae, I really noticed that I think that I just wanted more foundational plants back here. Very little to no perennials. The color will come from different kind of potted annuals and potted plants. So that large arborvitae, I'm going to plant right in here in this corner. The guys have dug the hole for me for a couple of different reasons. Number one, because once I prune it up, it'll be another different kind of textural orb in this corner. But also because this little Miss Figgy always gets a little bit compromised by the cold, and then it has to start out from the roots. Hopefully it will do that again this year after that what was it, 0 degrees, -1 that we had not too long ago. So I think this might help protect it a little bit, especially if then I mulch a bunch of leaves and stuff around it. This arborvitae will kind of hold that in place. And then ultimately that will be pruned somewhat. This was a steal from Peter to pay Paul from my other house a long time ago, Stuart. In fact, right here, let's put that picture. Yes, that little tiny one. And we'll see what it looks like all grown up, but what it looked like when it was a baby. So then we'll install that Fire Chief arborvitae right here, and I think it will just really create a good look. If we can turn around this way, Stuart, because this is what I get that vista from coming in the back gate to this corner. This is the corner I'm worried about, right?
And like magic, Victor has transplanted this back here. You can see how green it is on the inside. And actually, even this red portion will begin to green up too. So it will be a green kind of flat, almost like a pancake shape once I get it all pruned up. But it definitely fills this corner and gives more evergreen interest, not only in the summer, but also in the winter. And then Victor also, we decided that that this needed to go in the backyard because it was too big, and we'll be clipping on this stuff later. And then Victor and I have already talked about probably in the future. I asked Victor his opinion.
Yes.
And Victor agreed that probably it was time to transplant these into some different pots, or at least replenish the soil in here, because it's probably being depleted of nutrients and all sorts of other things. But we're going to hold off on that. We don't want to, just in case there's a freeze,
yes,
we just won't jump the gun on that. But I think that this corner is shaping up, because this, as I call it, Victor, I call this the money shot. When you look in the backyard right towards this space. So I need to get some color back in here. I need to prune some things. But it already looks, I think, considerably fuller at this same time this year than it did last year, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah. So a garden takes some time to mature, but over time, when Victor and his guys help me out, they work their magic, and voila, here we have it. This now will green up, but I kind of think you're right. I think that needs to be back in there.
Yes.
Okay, so that is, this is something. It will leaf out again. And it might be, Victor, you've got a good eye. Yeah, so this is in a pot, so it just can lift out, and we can just set it someplace till I decide what I want to do with it. Okay. So yeah, let's put that guy and just set it in here. Yes. So here's something that Victor's keen eye, we discussed it, and sometimes it's funny, I'll kind of intuit something, and then Victor's not mic'd, so let me get over here by you, Victor. I'll kind of intuit something, and then Victor will confirm it. Yes. And so he said that that guy needs to be in this pot over here. So we're going to make that switch out, and I think we'll have the visual weight I want over here, and then I think we'll both be happier. What do you think? Yes. Okay. Okay, well, this little guy may not look like such a much right now, but this was another shopping my garden, steal from Peter to pay Paul. This is a little cherry laurel that volunteered in my other garden, and if we can find it, and I don't know that we can show a little tiny, when it was just a little tiny baby and in a small tabletop container. But right now it's grown up, and it will, I promise, it will be beautiful once it starts leafing out, but it kind of got hit hard. So I'm going to get out of the way so Victor can work his magic. Okay, well, this is a little segment that I want to call What I See Where, and I want you guys to participate in it. So this is kind of like an overarching question of the day. So I want to start sharing with you some of the things that I love that I have here that you guys also seem to love, and where I have located them. Because if you're like me, you'd much rather be out in the garden than out looking for something, even if it's at a garden center. So recently I was out looking for contents for this great big Easter basket pot, and I came up with these forced bulbs. These are hyacinths, but they also had forced tulips, they had forced daffodils, and these I just think are so special. It's something you didn't used to be able to find, and now you can find fairly readily this time of year without having to force them yourselves. So this is probably, I think this was between $16 and $17, and there's 9 to a pot, so that is pretty good. And I found these at Lowe's. Now, what I also saw at Lowe's, and by the way, I'm talking about the Lowe's on May, and no matter where you are in the country, I want you to share with us, share with us what you have seen where. Also at Lowe's, they had olive trees. Now, that's something that I don't see out in nursery and garden centers very frequently. I sometimes see them at Trader Joe's, but they had olive trees. They had lots of southern living plants. They had Platinum Beauty Lamandra, which I have never seen in a garden center before. They had Sunshine Ligustrum. They had, well, they just had all sorts of things there. And I definitely think you might want to give them a look out. Now, last time I was there, they had better boxwood. This time, I did not see any better boxwood, so maybe somebody bought them all out. I did, however, when I went to Home Depot, see some better boxwood there, and they had Babylon Beauty, they had Renaissance, they had Skylight, so a really good inventory of them there. And at Lowe's, I think they also had Baby Gem boxwood. So something that I did not see that I was looking for that usually Home Depot has, and that is the Irish and Scottish moss that is so sweet and so tufted. Some of it's green, some of it's chartreuse, and I love using those in Easter baskets and short-term container plantings. I did not see any of those. I did get some leafy green kale. This looks like maybe it's winter boar or something to put in my pots, but I did not see any red ruby cabbages that I was looking for. So I don't know if these places are not going to get them or if it's just a little bit too early in the season, but those are things that I typically am on the lookout for right now. What's weird to me is when they have hot weather plants that really shouldn't even be available yet, and they've already got hot weather plants out like hibiscus, and I guess you can technically technically maybe plant some tomatoes right now. But I hope that you enjoyed this little what's where. Please share in the comments below where you live and what you have seen where. This coming week, I'm going to be going to Bricks and some other my independent garden centers that I just love to see what they have where they are. Now, obviously, you can start what you can't find from seed, and I have done some of that, notably some of the lettuce that I have seeded in around some of my pots. Now, last week, I seeded some black seeded Simpson in here, and you can see I've got my first, I don't know, my finger might be in the way. I can see germination in just a couple of places. So I am going to have some lettuce growing in this container before too long. If you see me on my hands and knees, if you happen to walk by, it's probably one of the reasons my back hurts, is I am down on all fours bending over, look for signs of germinated seedlings. Now, one of the things that I'm kind of nervous about right now is I haven't seen any of my feverfew seedlings, and when we come back, I'm going to share a couple of other things I'm kind of nervous about right now. Well, if you guys have followed me for any length of time, you know one of my favorite things in the world, and definitely Stuart's favorite things in the world, is this snowball viburnum, Chinese snowball viburnum. Now, we had that hard freeze about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It got down to about 0 degrees, and I think it really set some things back. Now they will bloom and they will come out and mature a lot later than they normally would have. At least I'm hoping that's the case, because by now I am normally already seeing flower buds on this snowball viburnum, and I have yet to see any buds at all, though it is leafing out. So it could just be that it's going to be delayed, but boy, it's got me nervous. Okay, one of the coziest things I think there is when your sweet husband lights a pinyon fire when he knows you're going to be working outside and it's still a cool morning and you can enjoy it. And I think we've all enjoyed the fragrance of it as we've been unloading plants and working about in the backyard. Now, something else that I think is just so cozy is having a really, really good book to read, and I can't recommend this one highly enough. Melissa Penfold is such a unique personality. Not only do I love the fact that she's a brilliant designer, and in fact, Stuart, we need to right here put up a screenshot of her Instagram feed, because what she shares is really just brilliant. But what I love also, especially, is the words. She takes such time in her posts to share her explanation of why something works and why it's important. And well, I just love it, and I love her. And in fact, we're going to try to collaborate on something. She has a new book coming out, and she's going to be sending me a copy, so I will definitely let you know about it and when it's available. And likewise, I will be doing the same with her. But I just love the brilliance of her work. I just love how clean, how simple. Oh, and look, I must have liked this page because I have a flattened ginkgo leaf.
I've had that happen when I've been
yes,
flipping through your books before.
a flattened ginkgo. Yes, probably many times. It's a place to store treasures. So if you are not familiar with Melissa Penfold, let me introduce you. She is definitely someone you will want to know, because she just likes the same things we kind of like. And I just think your life would be the worse for it if you didn't really look her up and look into what she has created and what she has written. So I will put a link to the book in the description box below, and I will let you know. I think her book is available for pre-order now. So if so, we will also provide that link. So it's just something that I wanted to share with friends, and that would be you.